to DIY with Nancy. Today I'm going to show you how to make a perfect snack right at home, something that I was brought up eating at my parents' home, and I continue to make it here at our home, and that is fried fava beans, Favas Fritas. Now, nowadays you can season it with whatever you like. I personally season with salt. It's the way I learned how to make them, the way I like to eat them, and we all like them here at home. And you know what? It's very easy to make, and I'm going to show you how to make fried fava beans, Favas Fritas, right at home, step by step. Now for the first step, I have here a large bowl with cold water, and you're going to need this cold water to soak the fava beans. Now for the fava beans, I have one bag of 750 grams or 26 ounces. Now you could buy the fava beans at any local grocery store or supermarket. It should be in the aisle of where all the rice and dried beans, canned goods, that's where you can find it, or you can even find it online. Now next, I'm just going to simply place the whole bag of fava beans right into the cold water. Now the cold water is going to absorb right into the fava bean, and it's going to expand the fava bean. So at this point right now, the fava bean and the peel, it's quite firm, and it's really hard to remove the peel at this point. They will expand. So we're going to leave the fava beans in the water. We're going to soak them for about 12 hours, or you can leave it overnight. I'm going to place it in the sink in my garage. It's nice and cool in there, and I'll show you what it looks like 12 hours later. After 12 hours, here are the fava beans. They've expanded. The water has changed in color. You can see the fava bean is almost doubled in size. And I want to show you the peel, how some of them is just cracking open. And that's perfect because that's exactly how you want your peel, so it's easier to remove from the fava bean. Now I'm going to replace the water that's with the fava beans with some fresh water. You can see that the water is a little brown in color. So I'm going to replace the fava beans with some fresh water, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, for the next step, I have the fresh water in the bowl of fava beans. I like to keep them wet so it's easier to remove the peel. So I'm going to start off by removing the peel, and all I'm going to simply do is use my thumbs, push the peel, and look, it slides out just like that. And then I split the fava bean and place it into a colander so it can drain any excess water. And I'm going to continue doing that, just again, pulling the peel back and then splitting the fava beans. And some of them just split apart as you're removing the peel from the fava bean. Now it's important that you keep the water in the fava beans, because what happens is if you remove all of the water, the peel from the fava beans eventually dry out and it becomes more difficult to remove the peel. Now, I usually have my husband help me remove the peel from the fava beans, which will be helping me shortly. And once we've removed all of the peels from the fava beans, I'll show you the next step. Okay, it took me about 25 minutes to remove the peel from the fava beans with the help of my husband, and now I'm ready to move on to the next step. Now here are all the fava beans split. I have here a tablecloth, which I'm going to place the fava beans just to let them dry. And underneath I have a bowl of the excess water that was removed through the fava beans as I was splitting the beans. Now what I'm going to do is just place all the fava beans right onto the tablecloth. I'm going to spread them out. I want to make sure they're not overlapping each other, and I want them to air dry for about an hour. So I'm just going to let them sit here and dry out before I move on to the next step. Now what I'm doing here is just spreading it out evenly, making sure they're not overlapping one another. And once I have the fava beans spread out onto the tablecloth, making sure they're not overlapping each other, I'm going to show you the next step. For the next step, I'm going to take a piece of paper towel and I'm going to place it on top of the fava beans just to remove any extra water or moisture that's on the beans. So that's all I'm doing, placing the paper towel on each section of the fava beans. And as you can see through the paper towel, there's still a little bit of water, and I'm just going to remove that excess water just by dabbing the paper towel on all the sections of the fava beans right here on the tablecloth. And then I'll show you the next step. Okay, I've patted all of the fava beans dry. You can see some excess water there on the paper towel. Now, all I'm going to do is just leave the fava beans on the tablecloth for about an hour and just let them dry, and then we'll move on to the next step. 1 hour has passed. All I'm simply doing is taking the fava beans and placing them on a plate. I like to fry the fava beans in about 2 or 3 batches. Okay, now to fry the fava beans, I have here a deep fryer with vegetable oil. I place about 4 cups of vegetable oil in the fryer. You don't want to fill it up because it can overflow and bubble once it's frying the fava beans. And I also have here a tray with some paper towel to place the fava beans once they're fried. Now I place the fava beans in a plate. I like them to have a little bit of room so they can fry evenly once they're in the deep fryer. And what I'm going to do is just lower the favas very slowly into the deep fryer. And you will see that the oil will start bubbling very quickly. You just want to keep an eye on it, make sure that the oil doesn't overflow. So you're going to let the fava beans fry for about 8 to 10 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. You want them a lightly golden brown. Occasionally mix it. Now I like to keep my eye on it. Occasionally I like to mix them, and I'm just going to use a slotted spoon just to mix them around, make sure they're not sticking together. Now at this point, the favas have been frying for about 7 minutes. You can see they're lightly golden brown. I'm going to let them fry for a couple more minutes. And once I do, this is the color I'm looking for. So you're going to hear them jiggle. You want to drain the oil. This is how I know they're perfectly done. And I just want to drain some oil before I place it into the tray for the oil to just sit there for a bit. So they're quite hot. I'm going to place them onto the tray. And look at that. And I'm just going to wait to season them another minute or so, but I'm going to show you another step just before I start seasoning them. I'm going to start off with the second batch, and this is the second batch of favas. I'm going to let them fry, and while they're frying, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to do before I start seasoning the fava beans. Now for the next step, before I start seasoning the fava beans with salt, I just place a paper towel right on top of the fried fava beans. Be careful because they are really hot. And I'm just going to shake it a little bit again to remove any excess oil that I don't want on the fava beans. As you can see, it goes right onto the paper towel. And now onto the final step. I'm going to simply place the fava beans right into a bowl. And then once they're in the bowl, that's when I season them. So I'm just going to place a little bit of salt, maybe half a teaspoon, just drizzle it right onto the favas. And once I've seasoned the favas with salt, I'm going to give it a good toss, make sure that the favas are mixed in with the salt and you get a good, perfect, even flavor. And then that's pretty much it. And if you want to try it for seasoning, if you want a little more salt, just take one, try it, and you can add more seasoning if you feel you need it. Here is the perfect Favas Fritas fried fava beans as a crunchy, perfect snack. And there you have it, everyone. That's my recipe for fried fava beans or Favas Fritas. Like I mentioned before, you can bake the fava beans in the oven if you prefer. I prefer them fried. They taste a whole lot better. And this is a perfect seasoning of just plain salt. You can also season them with a ranch dressing, salt and peppers, salt and garlic, some barbecue seasoning, whatever you like. Make it your own. That's what it's all about. And these are a perfect recipe to make right at home. Now, I placed it in a like a cookie jar, and I just leave it on the counter, and believe me, they just go quickly. It's a perfect snack, and this was full. My sister-in-law came by, and I gave her a mason jar to take home, and like I said, these are a perfect snack. They're lightly golden brown, and they have a perfect crunch to it. I hope you all enjoyed my recipe for fried fava beans or Favas Fritas. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, thanks so much for watching. Take care, everyone.